When I ask you, what is the difference between scary and horror, would you even say there's a difference? See, some would actually argue that scary is horror and vice versa. And it makes sense why one would come to that conclusion. When we say horror movies or horror games, scary things is always there to, well, scare us.
But scary and horror isn't apples to apples. Yes, they do go well with each other, but they're not the same thing. The problem is, especially in game medias, when developers try to make horror games, they also include scary and vice versa. So there isn't a really good example of a game, or at least what I found, that implements horror but not scary. Until recently. Let's talk about Little Nightmares.
First, let me explain the difference between horror and scary. Scary is being in fear, something that could pop out at any moment and attack you. You are scared because something could, is, or attacked you. Horror, however, is more of an external feeling. You are uncomfortable, maybe disgusted, and while there is fear, it's not heightened. You definitely want to get out of there, but you are more calm than if you were scared.
A good example of this would be people who have tried Phonophobia. Hopefully I said that right. aka people who have fear of needles. When we all needed to get vaccinated because of a certain thing that we cannot say in YouTube, otherwise we get shadow banned by it. When people needed to get the needle shot for it, there were a lot of cases that people fainted because they were so scared of the needles that their body just shut down briefly. Don't worry, they're still fine. They wake up after a while, but still, they fainted. By the way, people who have that fear, a phobia, and still took the vaccine, I salute you. You're braver than me at the very least. But my point here is, yes, horror does have some fear element to it, but scare, that takes it to the 10. No, maybe sometimes to the 11. Whereas horror tries to keep it at 5, maybe 8. But you can still control your body. You can still control your fear. You can still make decisions. But man, do you want to get out?
So why mention the difference in the first place? Because for me, Little Nightmares was never scary. But the horror was real. This game is more of a puzzle game. You are in a room you need to get out of, reach A to B, etc., etc. But what makes this game so good is the environment you see and feel in. You first see what it feels like in the first level. You see some die escaping or just giving up. You see what's happened to those who have power versus those who don't. Hide from ones who can kill, and run when running is the only option. Make noise to distract them, and all you have is a small lighter. But you're always in control and think, how do I escape from this situation? It's an amazing game in my opinion to prove that this is a horror game, not a scary game. However, this game still has its flaws. Moving your character, especially in tight situations, is very loose and clumsy. Sometimes I need to do the scene over and over and over because I could not grab a hook mid-air and fell to the bottomless pit because the control was that loose. Some of the puzzles were so confusing that it took me YouTube videos, while I was playing blind mind you, just to understand where to even go at the times. And the ending came out of nowhere. I didn't even knew I finished the game until I saw the final scene. Heck, one can even argue that the story flow is all over the place. And I would agree.
Despite all that, I do believe Little Nightmares is a good game. The positive does outweigh the negative. Plus, the things I have seen in that game. Oof. Let's just say that's true horror. But you know what else is true horror? Not subscribing to this I really do not like doing call to action button, but it works. I really need to get used to it. I know that the DLC is a thing and it has a whole different storyline from what I've heard. And yes, Little Nightmares 2 is also out and I want to play that game. Maybe next year I'll do it. But alas, this Halloween month is over. I thank you for joining this spooky times. But alas, I must go. Like, comment and subscribe. Feel the world, and I'll see you next time. Goose! That smoke was supposed to disappear me. Cut to the outro. Cut to the outro. Cut to the outro. Cut to the outro.